Hello all, I am architect Maitreyee Joshi. With over 8 years of combined academic and industry experience, I hold a master's degree in sustainable architecture, and also I am an accredited professional of Indian Green Building Council. I'm deeply committed to promoting eco-conscious design principles in both academia and practice. In my teaching, I focus on integrating sustainability across various architectural subjects. I aim to inspire students to think critically about environmental responsibility in designing. Currently, I am working as an assistant professor in Symbiosis Skills and Professional University, Pune.
Hello everyone, I'm architect Tulika Shevkani. So over an experience of 11 years in academics and teaching, so I hold a master's degree in environmental architecture. I am currently associated as an assistant professor with Symbiosis Skills and Professional University. And my teaching approach basically integrates towards the environmental responsibility across all the subjects which I teach, and I am passionate about guiding students to create context sensitive and eco-friendly design. So, before we begin this presentation, we would like to congratulate the Ethos team for initiating the Design Educators Award platform for us. And it's a commendable initiative that highlights the vital role of educators in shaping future design thinking. So, we truly appreciate the focus on integrating sustainability into design education, which is a step which is timely and it is very necessary, I feel. So thank you for giving both of us the opportunity to be a part of this meaningful journey.
So here at Symbiosis Skills and Professional University, it introduces sustainable design principles. We believe in introducing sustainable design principles right from the very first year of their architecture journey. It encourages students to develop environmentally responsible design thinking from their very start on or early on. Through hands-on projects, site visits, study tours, and a context-driven curriculum, students are guided to integrate the climate-responsive resource efficient into their design approach throughout their education journey. So today we will be talking about or we'll be focusing on two different level of integrative projects. First, we'll be concentrating on the first year design project, and the second project will be talking about the fourth year integration project. So firstly, we are starting with the first year project. So the first year project talks about a small guest house study or a guest house design, which the students went on for this year of their architecture design. So since it was the very first architecture design which the students went on, it was a very, they didn't had a clear perspective about it, or didn't even know how a clear idea of designing should be. So we had taken with an initiative what Symbiosis goes into of creating an integrative approach. We had taken them to a study tour for Bhuj. So as we know, Bhuj has a hot and arid climate. They studied the different climatic aspects or the contextual aspects of sustainability in hot and arid climate. And those particular things they tried implementing or integrating their architecture design project into. With that, they also had climatology as one of the subjects where they talked about or where they learned about the different elements of how a building can get into an eco-friendly approach. And that is how the incorporation has been done. So here we are talking about the cognitive levels of learning for both the projects, which are mixed levels, which for the first one is defining sustainability. The second one is summarizing the pillars of sustainability. The third one focuses on implementing green building principles and practices. The fourth one talks about illustrating innovative sustainable solutions through architectural and environmental design. The fifth one is assessing categories such as sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy atmosphere, local materials and resources, IEQ, that is the indoor environment quality, innovation and design process, and the regional priority for any of the architectural project. The sixth one and the last one is facilitating the sustainability strategies. So these are the cognitive levels which are incorporated for both the projects, that is which we'll be talking about today, that is for the first year project as well as for the fourth year project. But here for the first year we are generally focusing on, or will be showing the students approach of how they have tried inculcating the elements of sustainability or elements of how to make a project an eco-friendly or a affordable one, since the scale of the project is very small and the approach of the students is very basic, that is it is a starting of their journey of architecture. So that is how the two different projects have been integrated. Whereas in the fourth year project, you will be we will be seen, we are talking about how a particular project, that is a large scale project, can be taken into consideration of making it sustainable or affordable and linking it with a rating system. So that is how the journey describes about right here in Symbiosis, right from first year to their thesis, how the different levels are being achieved in making the students aware about the key aspects of sustainability and their approach or their inculcation into their design project. So going ahead, as we all know, the Bhuj has a hot and arid climatic zone. There are few of the what we can say. There are few of the elements to focus on. First is it has a harsh climatic zone. The radiations are very high, so that is why they require. That is why they require a thermally balanced atmosphere into their architectural design projects. So here we'll be seeing how the students have been tried inculcating that through different levels of their learning.
Yes. So the aim of this project was to design a sustainably adaptive guest house located in a region of a hot and arid climate, which is the climate of Bhuj. And the objectives were incorporating traditional Kutchi architectural elements, the materials, for example, clay, and for example, wood also, and then utilizing eco-friendly construction techniques, energy efficient systems, and water conservation methods to minimize the environmental impacts, and ensuring well-designed spaces with modern amenities, natural ventilation, and ergonomic layout. So they have also studied anthropometry in detail of all the spaces which they have implemented. And also a very important point, considering the disaster resilience, because Bhuj basically comes under Zone 5. So the students also have considered that the structures should be earthquake resistance, considering the seismic activity of the Bhuj. Yeah. So moving forward, these are some images of the sheets of the students, and as you know, that Bhuj basically falls under a hot and arid climate. So it has basically high diurnal temperature variations and intense solar radiations, low humidity, scarce rainfall, and strong winds. So these conditions necessitate passive cooling, thermal mass, and climate responsive design. Okay, so ma'am.
So here in the last slide, ma'am explained us, or we talked about what are the different considerations, what we are supposed to take in consideration when we are designing in such hot and arid climates. So when the student comes across these kinds of questions, that okay, these kind of climate approaches, that okay, these are few of the things what we are supposed to cater into. Then how basically they are supposed to address the issues. So what we introduce to them is something called as bioclimatic chart. As many of us have already heard about it, we have used it as a tool to make students understand what are the different strategies which they can use when they are talking about hot and arid climate. So here x-axis and y-axis, they are supposed to interpolate between the radiations, that is the temperatures and the relative humidity for 4 different critical months. And as they interpolate it, they are going to come across the different strategies which they are supposed to incorporate into their design to make it a sustainable one. So here students have given a task of how to interpolate the different for 4 different critical months the temperature and the relative humidity, and as per that what are the different kinds of solutions into their solutions which bioclimatic chart as one of the tool is giving them, which they have to directly incorporate into their design. So here we are able to see that when they interpolate the temperatures and the relative humidity, they are coming across the strategies like direct evaporative cooling or high thermal mass, and this is completely dependent on what are the different kinds of temperatures or different relative humidities which that particular region is given. Student has tried incorporating, or they have taken it from Indian Meteorological Department, that is IMD, and then they have tried interpolating it. From this chart, the inferences are withdrawn that what are the different strategies which one has to take in consideration to put in their architectural design solutions to make it a sustainable one or an affordable one. So as we have spoken about in the last sheet, this sheet talks about what are the different strategies. So once they have tried interpolating it into their bioclimatic chart, they come across the different solutions. So now those different solutions, they are supposed to take and try designing with those right from their sustainable site planning. So once we do site planning, so sun path is taken in consideration. So as you are able to see here, there are different kinds of works which are projected. So with this, the student is trying to explain that right from the orientation of the building or the building footprint which has been laid on the site is as per the sun path diagram. So from where the radiations are high, how the axis of the building should be, which regions are supposed to be mutually shaded, where the trees are supposed to be planted, what should be the window to wall ratio. If we are using the shading devices, that is the horizontal shading devices and the vertical shading devices for the fenestrations, how much the length or how much the particular depth of the shading device should be. That everything is particularly reliable on what our altitude and azimuth angle is, which we can derive from the sun path diagram. So the students are made well aware of these tools, and then calculating from these tools, they are supposed to take in consideration the different kinds of climatic factors or the parameters which that climate is giving us. From that we calculate and then try putting it into our design. So when we are talking about Bhuj, we said that it is an hot and arid climate, so that the temperature ranges are very high. And in the first slide, we have talked about they have been exposed to Bhuj in their study tour this time. So when they went to Bhuj, they had done a 2 days of hands-on workshop in Hunarshala, where they came across the different locally available materials in that particular region, and also the techniques which were affordable and also which were made with the local available materials. So the students were very fond of that, or they were very much attracted that how the simple techniques can be taken in consideration, and we can build affordable or eco-friendly houses or an architecture with those particular techniques. So they tried taking that and then putting it into their this time's architectural design project. So here we are showing that the student tried using filler slabs or even the cross ventilation strategies, the passive lighting strategies. So the focus or the overall focus of the project was minimal usage of the artificial strategies, that is for the lighting as well as for the ventilation, and maximize the usage of passiveness both in ventilation as well as in daylighting strategies. So WWR, that is the window to wall ratio, was taken in consideration in the calculation, and then as per which side the particular window is, that much amount of opening of the fenestration is being given by the student. Same way, the shading devices for those particular windows, whether be it's vertical or horizontal, is been calculated with the help of the sun path diagram for the area, and then those particular fenestrations are being designed with the shading devices so that the amount of scattered light is maximum inside the space to maximize the usage of daylighting, but at the same time the radiations are being cut down so that the ventilation or the coolness of the building can be achieved, where the student is also talking about the thermal comfort inside the space. So when we are talking about thermal comfort, there were different kinds of materials. Since they were in very first year, they were only exposed to brick and some of the just uh, brick and stone, mud. That is the very basic materials. They had not tried they had not tried exploring the different materials. That is where we got them or tried introducing them to something called as thermal resistance. So with the help of thermal resistance, they understood that the heat in outside and the heat inside can be varied only with the help of the thickness of the material what they are taking in consideration. So when we went in Bhuj, there were no air conditions which were used, but as we know that the temperatures are very high, but they experienced that the temperatures inside the spaces were relatively low. So the curiosity developed in that how come the temperatures inside the built space is relatively low as compared to the outside without the use of air conditioners. So that is where we introduce them to what is called as thermal resistance. How much can be the thickness? Coming back, we were talking about the thermal radiance. So here, the students were introduced to the different local materials and their thicknesses. So as the thickness goes on increasing, there is a relative effect or effect on the thermal resistance of that particular building. So that is where the U value came in picture. So the students concentrated or the students calculated on the U value, taking stop हो गया क्या?
No, it's working.
Okay. So taking two materials, one is they took brick of 230 thick, and next is they took the locally available material of Bhuj, which was mud, which was of 300 thick, and they calculated the thermal resistance or the U value for both the materials. With a comparative analysis, they came to a conclusion that yes, if we use a local material of 300 thick or more than that, then that would help us achieve the relatively lower temperatures inside the space as compared to the outside. So this is how they have been technically taught of how the project can be an eco-friendly or a sustainable one, with all these elements, small elements catering to the building, with the help of calculations and also their own experiences which they learned in the study tour. Yes, so this is one of the site plans. So here, as we have spoken earlier, Bhuj comes in the zone 5 seismic of the seismic activity. They tried in, inspired by the Bhunga houses, they tried in taking the circular shape of the building. With the help of that, also the thermal resistance, the WWR and the shading devices were taken in consideration, and the orientation of the building was also according to the sun path. So overall, the students tried incorporating these all small elements into their building design when they started their architectural design project.
So, moving forward with the second project, that is designing a sustainable high-rise residential society in Pune itself. So, the site was given in Pune, uh, considering the same cognitive level of learnings of sustainability for the fourth year project also. So, this year's aim was to focus on developing or designing a sustainable high-rise residential society located basically in the outskirts of Pune, aiming to promote sustainability among students while achieving the IGBC certification. And the objectives were to design the society which was needed to create an environment that is not only comfortable and livable, but also eco-friendly and resource efficient. And moving forward with the design. So this is here you can see how they are trying to approach the sustainability factors like promotion of the local materials and promoting health and well-being of the people by creating spaces that enhance physical and mental well-being, and then incorporation of eco-friendly materials. So local and eco-friendly both are important, and then creating spaces which can be used for social activity, also for community, for interaction, and also for recreational purposes, and then optimal comfort, which is a very important factor as part of sustainability. So these were the approaches which they have incorporated. And then moving towards this slide, this image talks about the sustainable principles and practices, how they have worked out.
So as we have seen in the last project itself, this project is basically for the fourth year. So here also, so since the students are in the very much practice of putting their designs as per the climate responsive approach, the sun path, the sun path and the orientation of the building also goes hand in hand. The levels are added. That is how the acoustic control can be done. The area of softscape to hardscape can how it can be achieved if we are trying to put in the water recharge. How much should be the area of the softscape which is supposed to be given to the site, and so on.
Yes. So moving forward in this slide, they are basically talking about the quality of life of the residents, because it's a residential society, and how they can reduce the ecological footprint. So through this project, the students need to contribute to the environmental movement and also to develop critical skills that will shape the future of sustainable urban living. So this should promote a harmonious coexistence between modern living and the natural world, fostering an awareness of the need for responsible and mindful development. So as you can see in the image, there are solar panels which they have used on the terrace. They have used green pockets. They have also used terracotta tiles on the external facade of the building. They have used box windows. They have used refuge areas, and also they have worked on the evaporative cooling system, which helps towards gaining the sustainability or achieving the sustainability principles. And
Yes, so coming to the last slide of it, here are some of the design strategies which are focused from the previous project. So here the students came across what is the heat island effect, how much should be the absorption and the transmission ratio of different materials. So since this project is of the fourth year level, they are exposed or they are very well aware of different kinds of materials which are available in the market. So that particular palette has been taken in consideration and chosen according to the absorption and the transmission ratio of those materials. Also, the evaporative cooling systems have been designed, whether they are artificial or natural or then integrated one. Then the facade treatments, as we spoken earlier, that means the facade treatments as taken in consideration for the windows or the fenestrations, that is the shading devices. Next is reusage of the water, that is how to reuse the gray water and usage of that or reusing that into their site. Then the next is the hot air management, that is the natural ventilation, drainage wells, garbage chute segregation, that is the segregation of the wet waste and the dry waste and reusage of that. We are done. Then the renewable energy sources and also the promotion of the e-vehicles. So with this particular thing, they came in the IGBC checklist, and with that they calculated how much are the points which they are gaining in for their particular project, and they rated their project. So this is how the transition from the first year level to the fourth year level is been trying achieving here with the help of different kinds of means and promotion towards the sustainability.
So these were some of the key insights of our work of the students. So I hope it will create a positive impact. Thank you.
Thank you.